From the studios of the WBCR radio station, it's the Bret Sean Show. All right. Welcome to the afternoon drive with Bret and Sean. It's listen, folks. Usually I say it's a beautiful Monday here in New York City, but that's just not the case. Today is our first Wednesday show, summer debut, and it is not a beautiful day. It's actually a horrible day outside. I mean, you step outside, it's hard to breathe. Someone who suffers from childhood asthma, it has not been easy 2 days for me, to say the least, but I'm here, I'm energized and ready to go. And in the studio, we've got Frank working both the board and the phones. Frank, what do you have for us?
So a few weeks ago, the Biden administration has tried to ban chocolate milk from public schools around the country. Should they ban chocolate milk in public schools throughout the country?
Frank.
Should they? Well, do you guys remember what chocolate milk used to be like in school?
No.
It's
That was
not
the
like
best.
the Yoo-hoo. It's not like...
It was the highlight of my lunch. I mean, there was, maybe Pizza Fridays, that was okay as well. But listen, Frank, Biden, bigger fish to fry, let's be honest. I mean, chocolate milk is not the main cause of all our problems. It just isn't.
At this rate, we got a COVID 2.0 going on with all this smoke in the air. The entire city smells like a barbecue.
It's ridiculous.
So,
I mean,
Don't mention COVID.
Oh, I'm going to mention COVID. Look, I mean, first, the last few years, China, we got COVID coming in from China. The spring has been awful with these allergies, running rampant. And now we've got this air coming in from Canada, this smoky haze.
The government's spraying this into the air.
Oh, it's ridiculous. I can't even breathe. I'm out of breath.
Stinks.
Remember yesterday I was telling you I was out of breath?
Look, man, if you have asthma, it sucks right now.
Thank you, Sean. Thanks for reminding me. But anyway, besides the chocolate milk, pandemic we have going on, what else you got for us, Frank?
So for music fans out there, a few days after our show ended back in May, Tina Turner has passed away at her home in Switzerland. Rest in peace, R.I.P. But she is known as the queen of rock and roll. She got the best songs like What's Love Got to Do With It,
Classic.
We Don't Need Another Hero, and Simply the Best. And then the final part before I get back to Bret, Julius Randle has gone through ankle surgery. I wish him the best of luck in his recovery, but I have a question for all sports fans. And, of course, you can answer them on the call, 718-951-4444. Does Julius Randle still suck?
No, he never sucked, Frank. I mean, look, I know, we have Daniel calling in here a little bit later on, and I know he's he's been a big proponent of that, but that's just not the case. I mean, Sean, look, I mean, he outperformed your boy Jaylen Brown in that Heat series. I mean, Jaylen Brown minus 34, just crazy. Julius Randle over here needing surgery was a plus 10, averaging 19 a game. So, let's give him a little credit here, especially Stephen A. Smith and Daniel. Let's give him a little credit here.
I mean, look, I feel bad for Randle. I feel for him. After that Heat series, Knicks fans were ready to trade him left and right. And I absolutely don't think that's the right course of action, at least immediately. And I feel bad for him. It sucks. A lot of star players go through this through deep playoff runs, they get banged up and all that. But for Jaylen Brown, he needs to work on his handle this summer because he was turning that ball over left and right in Game 7.
Oh, yeah, like a hot potato. And look, we're going to get into – thanks for bringing up stars with the injuries. It's a shame because we're going to get into that in a couple minutes here. But before we do that, Frank, thank you for that, by the way. We appreciate that. We're going to take things over to Jessica Lowery, the lovely Jessica Lowery, now part of our team, working the camera. And look, folks, this is our first time on camera.
Yeah, so forgive me if it looks crazy.
Oh, it looks beautiful. I mean, we look good.
It looks fine.
I can just feel it. I'm feeling good.
We look perfectly handsome. It's all good.
But what do you have for us, Jessica? What do you got for us?
I'm here now. So things will be better. I'm kidding.
Now we're in great shape. Now we're in great shape.
No, thank you for inviting me. It's gonna be awesome. I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn.
She's here to learn.
This is a much more educated platform than the Get Back. And I'm from the Get Back. I love the Get Back, but that could be
the Get Back
a circus
Whoa,
sometimes.
Shots fired, folks. You heard that. I didn't say it.
It's not
Sean
shots fired. We're just a different show,
Daniel, you heard it.
We
Lewis,
got fireworks. You guys got the brains.
Tries to be the Pat McAfee show, so.
Oh my God. We could never. We could never.
But anyway, before
Shout out to the McAfee Mafia.
Shout out to the McAfee Show. Get back. Boo. No, just kidding. Love you guys. But
You can't do that
great
because I'm
show.
part. Like you're gonna tear me in two.
You're one of us now, Jessica.
No.
You're one of us. But anyway, look, we're gonna get into some sports here in a minute or two here. But just before we move on, Jessica, a little background on her. She actually got Sean and I together. I was looking for a co-host when I started this show. Because I don't want to sit here and talk to myself, for an hour straight. Now I got Mr. Celtic next to me, Sean, and we get to have a little banter here with you guys for an hour. But, 14, 15 shows in here, Sean, already. I mean, it's crazy. I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Absolutely. Well, we're about 3 months in now, and to think that we're on camera this fast is incredible. I didn't think we'd be able to do it this fast, so our show's rising quick, and this is the next big step. This will take our show to a whole new level. I
mean, look, the station, the YouTube channel had just 14 subscribers here. This was, just a couple months ago, about 4 months ago, and, the Get Back's doing great work. We're doing great work, and a lot of the other shows, I know T Takes is coming in here after, and many more, Kaylin's show with Christian, and just all of them. Now there's over 114 subscribers on the channel, so it's grown over 100
incredible.
subscribers. So shout out to everyone helping out here at the station. But now let's get to the sports. And, Jacob deGrom, that's right, you heard it. I take no joy in saying that, seriously. Jacob deGrom is now Jacob deGrom because he is going to miss the entire season with a torn UCL and, having Tommy John surgery here. And he was very, very emotional, as you'd expect, while talking to the media yesterday. Here's what Jake had to say.
But, oh, man. I went through this before and, I know what it takes to get back. So that's the goal. Go out there, rehab as the best I can and be around to help, any way I can. We got a special group here. And to not be able to be out there and, help them win, it stinks. If you want to be out there, like I said, we got a special group. I love being around these guys, and, that's where you feel like a letdown. You're letting those guys down. But, we have, Dane stepped up and done a great job, and the pitching staff's unbelievable. So, be here and root them on. That's all I can do.
Man, I feel bad for the guy. Look, I know Mets fans a lot of times clown on him now, and there's a lot of jokes going on Twitter that they're hating on them. But look, it sucks that he's hurt. I'll never root for player injuries. It sucks to see, and this is a personal battle that he's gonna have to go through. Hopefully, speed of recovery. Hopefully, and he'll come back towards the end of next season. Hopefully, better than ever.
I mean, look, you said it. The Rangers playing great baseball here on a 5-game winning streak, hitting the crap out of the ball. Guys like Seager, Simeon, Jonah Heim, the catcher, he's been great. Just a lot of guys. The pitching staff, Nate Eovaldi, they've all been solid. But Jacob deGrom, when he's on his game, he was, the best pitcher in baseball. There's no doubt about it. Had a couple great seasons with the Mets. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mets retired his number. He won't make the Hall of Fame, but wouldn't be surprised. 9 years as a Met, long time. Definitely the best I've seen. And look, Mets fans probably, there's definitely some Mets fans getting joy out of this. I don't see it that way because, like I said, he was a great Met, won some playoff games, pitched a big World Series game, and he did leave the Mets for the Texas Rangers, but he left for a lot more money than the Mets were willing to spend, so you can't blame him there. He didn't like some of the politics going on here in New York with the masks and stuff.
Right,
so
it wasn't like he hated the Mets organization or anything to really want now. And look, he's 34 years old, so especially with sports athletes, like the older they get, the harder it is for them to come back from tough injuries.
Sean, this is the second time he's getting Tommy John surgery, and this, like you just said, 18 months, because that's what it's going to be. Like you said, if he comes back towards the end of the year next year, that's a long time. That's a long process, especially going through that twice, 34 years of age. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him pitch again, Sean. I know it seems a little, I wouldn't even say far-fetched, but it comes as a shock, I would say, because it's like the biggest what if in sports. It really is.
Right, because think about it, he has to get surgery, and then he has to go through the rehab process, but then it's also the process of getting back to playing the game of baseball and getting used to playing again, which also does take time after being off for so long. So it's like, at this point, like, I hope he's back, but it's not a total surprise, like, given that he'll probably be 35 going on 36 when he does get healed up, and at that rate, it doesn't look promising for him at that rate.
Well, look, this was the kind of the big injury that all Mets fans feared while he was here, because he suffered a lot of injuries. A lot of minor dings. An elbow, a forearm, a wrist, a shoulder, but this was kind of the big one.
It was all building up to this.
It was all building up, and the Mets made the right decision. Look, the Mets have done a lot wrong here, Sean. They've done a lot wrong here. They've been awful this season. Billy Epler's made some bad moves, and we'll get into that a little later on, but they got this one right. They did. They didn't trust Jake. They knew he was a liability with his health, and they just weren't willing to commit all that money to him. But while we're on the topic of baseball and the Mets, let's talk about, Aaron Judge and Pete Alonso here a little bit, because, look, both players are hitting the crap out of the ball. They have a bunch of home runs, and they're on pace, Sean, to be the first duo since Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa to each hit 60-plus home runs in a season, which occurred in 1998 and 1999. Do you think they could do it again, or do you like one over the other?
I think it's absolutely possible that they could do it again, and I think they will, just because I feel like the game of baseball has also advanced in terms of like the way that the offense plays, and now it's like you look at it in other sports too. It's like the offense is so advanced now that it's easily breakable. It's easily doable now too.
But who do you think, because I know I have my pick, who do you think between the two has a better shot of hitting 60 home runs?
I'll go Pete Alonso.
Really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because what fears me with Aaron Judge's injury history. He just got hurt recently again. So it's like, so currently Alonso's at 22, Judge is at 19. And I feel like even though the Yankees are a better team right now as of the Mets, I feel like Alonso has to carry a lot of that Mets offense, what they do, and I feel like he'll be able to get to 60 quicker than Judge will.
Look, I get it, and I'm a Mets fan, so I do have some bias with Alonso. I actually think he hit his 23rd yesterday in Atlanta, but I'm going Aaron Judge here, and the reason why is because he's done it before. That's the first main point. I get it. Alonso is a beast. He's an amazing home run hitter.
Right.
Look, since 2019, since he joined the league, no one's hit more home runs than him. So, but I'm still going Aaron Judge here because, like I said, I don't think teams. The National League is more competitive in the sense that there's a lot of teams fighting for that wild card spot. There's a lot of competition. Late in the season, Sean, I could see teams pitching around Pete Alonso. I know some teams pitch around Aaron Judge, but I think with the Mets teams, with Lindor especially hitting 215, they just don't want Alonso to beat them. And right now, 60 games in, you're not seeing it as much. But once we get towards late summer, Sean, those playoff races, you're going to see teams are going to start pitching around Pete Alonso because who's hitting behind him? I mean, Daniel Vogelbach. Please, Eduardo Escobar.
He stinks.
Come
so Vogelbach
on.
stinks. But I feel like as an individual talent, Pete Alonso is good enough to work around it to still get his home runs up, even if the opposing pitching squad is finding ways to limit his home run ability.
Just Tommy Pham. Seriously. Look, Aaron Judge usually hits in the 2-hole for the Yankees. He usually has Anthony Rizzo hitting behind him, and Anthony Rizzo's been very good this season. 289 average, 11 home runs, 32 RBIs, hitting around a 900 OPS. I believe it's like 840, 850. But I'm not saying Anthony Rizzo is like some superstar, but he's definitely better than Tommy Pham and Easy Out Escobar and Daniel Vogelbach. Like we said last week, biggest guy in the league, can't hit a lick. He goes up there, 1, 2, 3, see you later, sit down, go have some Gatorade. That's it. That's it. That's how it happens, Sean. It's just like 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm on my phone for a second. I look up, Daniel Vogelbach's walking back to the dugout. Didn't even swing the bat. The bat was on his shoulders the whole time. But look, we're going to get to the phones. We have Daniel out in Diker Heights on the line, probably an angry Mets fan here.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, guys.
What's up,
What's
Daniel?
going on, Daniel?
Great to be back. I angry is a word. Sure, we could say I'm angry. Look, a real quick thing on deGrom. I never root for player injuries, but man, we dodged a bullet with him, because if we were paying him that money and he got injured again, never would have heard the end of it.
Oh, I mean, it's, especially with Chris Young, the general manager. I mean, what was he doing? They announced that he was going to be out for the year later on in the day, but earlier in the day, he was giving us some nonsense. I don't even know what he was saying, kind of like, it's not a huge setback. Some days he feels okay when he throws, some days he doesn't. And then a couple hours later, it comes out that, after they transfer him to the 60-day, the 60-day IL, it's like it started getting weird, Daniel. And if that happened in New York, with Billy Epler or Brian Cashman, I mean, that would be a huge story. I mean, Chris Young was kind of selling a bag of nonsense to the fans. I mean, that was just a weird, I don't know how, I know it's Texas and it's not as big a deal, but it was just kind of weird how the news kind of came out over there.
Especially with like the way that the Mets are already spending money, to have that contract on the books too would look so bad if he got hurt while under the Mets payroll. So look, if you're a Mets, I know there's Mets fans that are happy out there, which is absolutely ridiculous. Player injuries suck, no matter what you think of the player themselves. But yes, the Mets did dodge a bullet, because now they're not going to have to pay him through this injury, which honestly is difficult to see him come back from, given that he's reach his mid-30s.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to lead to retirement after this, because his arm exploded on him. I think, he was never trustworthy when he was on the Mets either. It was always something every year. And his arm just gave out. And, I hope maybe he makes a recovery, but he's not going to be the same pitcher he was.
No, he's not, Daniel. And don't forget Kumar Rocker, the guy that the Mets drafted. He also was having some issues, couldn't pass the Mets physical. They didn't trust him. And now look what happened to him in Texas. Texas signed him, and now he's also getting Tommy John surgery. That happened early in the season. But the Mets, they've done a lot wrong, Daniel. You know that. I know that. We all know that. They've been an embarrassment this season. But the Mets did get that right, and thank God they didn't bring him back, because that just would have made this season that much worse.
I just feel like the main staff right now just seems to have a better grasp on players and their health, and pretty much setting up this franchise. Then you get to the point where we have Daniel Vogel back as their DH, and you're thinking, what the hell is happening there? Why is he the DH?
Why is he hitting fifth yesterday, Daniel? Why the hell is he hitting fifth, let alone
Why
the
is he in
DH?
the lineup, Brett? Forget fifth. Why isn't Vientos getting the bulk of the playing time at DH? Why isn't Mauricio up here at least doing something?
I mean, come on. I mean, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, how many?
I mean, we might as well DFA the whole team, bring the kids up, because basically what we're doing right now.
Well, Daniel, you're going to have those people out there, Vientos is hitting 180 or whatever. He's hitting 180 because he's playing once a week, twice a week. I mean, the guy's getting no consistency. He needs to get some type of consistency. You've seen what Alvarez has done with consistency, and thank God they DFA'd Tomas Nido, because he is a disaster as well. And Tommy Sham, I know he had a couple home runs the other day, but I'm tired of watching him. Eduardo Escobar at second base making an error yesterday, diving for that ball, completely overran that ground ball, which gave the Braves the lead. Carrasco, I could just go down the line. I mean, everyone, there's been so many bad players for this Mets team this year. I mean, no one is exempt.
Brett, the worst part of this team is the bullpen. Because the starting pitching, I could see it start to come around. I could see it getting out. I could see it going deep. Right? I know what the starting pitching is. The lineup is going to be the lineup. And there's some guys in there who are hitting now, and they're going up and down. I could deal with it. But this bullpen is terrible. I can't trust anybody in that bullpen. It is so bad. Every time somebody comes in, it's a run.
So okay. So what's your solution for it? And yes, that the Mets pitching has always been good, like not good, but like always consistent. So like the bullpen is the issue. So like, what's one solution that you would suggest?
Okay. So here's what we do, right? Mm-hmm. Here's what we do. Whenever
Daniel's
somebody comes into the game,
I hope so. Better.
All right. Whenever somebody comes into the game, right? Let's say Drew Smith, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what. So you know how the manager takes the ball and he gives it to the pitcher?
Mm-hmm.
Before that happens, they should have Francisco Lindor take the ball and chuck it over the right field wall and let it count as a run. And then he can start pitching. Because that's the only way. Because, he has to give up a run before he gives up 3 outs. So instead of him wasting pitches, He'd get up
Just
the
give
run
up a run
early.
right off the bat.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm tired of seeing that flat
Agreed.
fastball from Drew Smith, Daniel. I mean, it's a, he always starts off the year good. He's a big tease, this guy. He really is. I mean, he starts off good, and then all of a sudden he starts giving up bomb after bomb
gives
after
you
bomb.
gives you this false hope, and then just starts screwing over when the Mets are ready to trust them.
And
Brett,
Dominic
we can-
Leone.
Brett Sean, we can go through the
Dominic
whole
Leone, I
bullpen, and the whole bullpen's the same. They're all dinger bums.
Dominic Leone, get his ass out of here. The guy stinks. He's so bad. You saw it yesterday. You've seen it the whole year. The guy has a 6 ERA. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we still have guys like Escobar hitting 80, playing second base, making errors. We still have Dominic Leone, Carrasco. I totally, you know what? I take responsibility for the Mets' loss yesterday, folks. All right, because I totally jinxed Carlos Carrasco. When I called Sean yesterday, we were going over for the show today, and I said, Sean, you know, you were hating on Carlos Carrasco, as was I, and all of a sudden, since that day, he's been on a roll. And just like that, 10 minutes later, I say, uh-oh.
He gives up the lead.
3 runs,
like-
bing,
runs.
bang, boom.
Right.
Sean
Man.
Murphy, of course, the next Met killer. I'm telling you right now, he killed us in Oakland last year. I mean, he was killing us in the
always
Coliseum.
catchers. It's always the catchers. That's the best part, too. Travis d'Arnaud, Sean Murphy, Matt Olson. It's all the
Contreras.
catchers.
Oh, gosh. Rayamuto.
It's always the catchers, man.
It's always it's
Jorge
just,
Alfaro when he was here.
oh, that with the Goldilocks, that guy was a pain in the ass too. I mean, he was a weird guy because that guy was huge and he could freaking bust it down the line. It was crazy. But
I mean, this to me is the Jekyll and Hyde team because I see them going on a 1 week stretch where they're going to look unbeatable, and then the next week they're going to crap the bed.
And we talked about this yesterday. They're nothing more than a 500 team. Because think about it, they win a series and then they'll lose a series. It's just up and down.
Right, and I honestly don't know what we can do.
There's no
at
real
the
progression
deadline.
for them
I
as
don't
of
know.
now.
I don't know who comes in here and changes this team.
oh, look, Daniel, I'll tell you this: Nick's waiting on the line. I hope he has the answers because, you know, we're at a loss of words here. We really are. You know, but I tell you what, the one silver lining here is that the Mets have Max Scherzer coming up tonight and Justin Verlander tomorrow. And look, this is what I know. It's early in the year, kind of, but you're not playing your division.
There's no more early in the year. We're in June. Early in the year is gone.
The June
We're in the
swoon. Well, this is
season
the
now.
June swoon, Daniel. This is no surprise. This happens all the time. It even happened last year when the Mets won 101 games. I mean, it's always a June swoon. The pain, the suffering, the misery never ends in Metland. But look, they have Scherzer and Verlander coming up, and this is what you pay these guys for, all right? You need to go win this series. I don't care what it takes. Go win these next 2 games. You're not playing the Braves 19 times a year like you usually do. It's only 13. If the Mets get swept here, oh my gosh, you're going to see me next
week. The
week.
division's over. If they get swept, the division's over. I'm just going to say it because that's going to be true. They're not making the ground up if they get swept by the Braves here. No way.
Look, Daniel, we love your call as always. You know, we have to. We're kind of, you know, we have to go 5 minutes less today. Unfortunately, we can't go the full hour because we have a show coming in here next. But Daniel, hopefully by next week things are better. I feel like I say this to you every week.
Yeah, hopefully we take it week to week.
Daniel, thank you again.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate
We'll
you.
catch you next week.
Take care, guys. See you, Jess.
Bye, Daniel.
All right, that was Daniel, folks. Next up, we've got Nick out in Brooklyn. What's going on today, Nicky?
I got 2 words for you.
Uh-oh.
Clean house.
I thought you were going to say
Okay.
clean sweep.
Listen, remember what the Phillies did, right? They fired Joe Girardi, brought in Rob Thompson, and what happened? They went all the way to the World Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we need to pull off. I'm thinking Mark DeRosa or maybe at least Joey Cora. What are your thoughts?
Well, look, Mark DeRosa, I'm going to rule him out just because I get the bad juju from him. I mean, he was coaching Team USA, and that's when Diaz is jumping up and down, celebrating, tears his ACL, and that's the end of that. So DeRosa gives me the ick. Buck doesn't have a clue this year, Nick. You know, we've kind of alluded to it, but we haven't really focused on it. He seems lifeless. He really does.
And it's, look, like, how are you going to clean house for this Mets team given all the money that they invested?
That's very easy. You're going to get a guy like Artie Moreno, the Angels. He'll take Lindor off your hands and pay his salary. And even if you don't get Ohtani back, at least you free up money. You bring up Mauricio, you put him at shortstop, and you use that money for other players.
Well, look, it's you know, Artie Moreno is a schmuck. And you know, a couple weeks ago, you brought up that Lindor trade to the Angels. I still don't see the Mets doing that. But look, Nick, Lindor's got to get his act together. There's no getting around that. And I love Lindor, always have, but he's got to get his act together.
And it's just, we alluded to it with Daniel, time is running out for the Mets. Yes, given how long the MLB season is, it's long enough to be able to go through peaks and valleys, but time is running out for them. You're about to reach the second half of the season. You got to have this stuff figured out by now.
Time's running out for me. My blood pressure, I can't take this anymore. Between this
if
air
you do
and
nothing,
the Mets.
that sends a bad message to the
Brett
clubhouse.
is dying on the inside.
I can't breathe. It's hot in here as well. You got to get some.
Oh my God.
Get an AC in here.
But I
You
mean,
got to get rid of Epler. He's got to get rid of Epler, please.
but who? Who do you bring in? I mean, David Stearns, is that a pipe dream? I'm not sure. Is he going to leave Milwaukee? If he does, the Mets are very much in play. But who else?
I'll take Omar Minaya, but I don't want Steve Phillips. Please don't bring back Steve Phillips.
No. He's ridiculous because his trade proposals don't make any sense to me. I don't know if you ever catch his trade proposals during the Mets. Like post-game and pre-game shows sometimes, or on Geico Sports Night. I don't think he is a very good GM, to be honest with you.
You talking about Phillips?
Yeah, Phillips.
Oh, no, he's a nightmare. I think he's the guy that brought Mo Vaughn here, right?
He was.
And he couldn't even move at that point. Anyway, but getting back to deGrom, it could not have happened to a nicer guy.
It's true.
First of all, the Mets were paying him millions and millions to be on the injured list, right? And then he turns around and doesn't even give the Mets an opportunity to equal the offer the Rangers made him. So he disrespected the Mets. So I don't care that he needs Tommy John surgery. Good for him.
Come on.
Nick,
Okay.
you took us on a roller coaster
That's
there.
harsh.
You took us on a roller. I mean, it started, he's a great
Nick.
guy, and then all of a
Nick,
sudden,
come
screw
on.
him.
Being honest with you guys,
Come on.
good for him.
Okay. Now, sure, that's sports hate, but for him as a person, you got to feel bad for him. You should wish that upon nobody, no matter what they did to your favorite sports team. Come on, that's just
Well, he
ridiculous.
wasn't loyal.
Brett, I
he
didn't
wasn't
know- I
loyal
didn't
to
know you
my
had this type
team.
of
And
heart,
last
Sean.
night, Gary Cohen was, waxing poetic about Jacob deGrom. Oh, we wish him well. I was cursing Gary out last night.
I mean, look, for Jacob deGrom, I feel bad for him. I hope everything goes well. So.
Well, Gary Cohen, as we know, he's a scholar, Nick. We all know that. He wants to make that known in all his fancy words that he uses and analogies.
Takes
We
you off
know
for
he went to
circles.
Columbia. Big deal.
Yep, a Columbia alum, Gary Cohen. I do love Gary Cohen, though. And I hear what you're saying, Nick. Believe me, you're not the only Mets fan out there that is happy about this. And look, if you watch him talking to the media yesterday, Nick, it's hard not to feel bad for the guy when you see it. You can hear it in his voice. You see the tears. You see him visibly crying. Once you watch that video, it might change your mind. I'm not sure. Though.
Nah, he's crying all the way to the bank, and he's not paying state tax in Texas.
Well, now you bring up an interesting point, though, Nick, because let's not forget he is going to be getting paid throughout this whole recovery process. You feel bad for the guy, yes, but at the end of the day,
he's gonna be making some nice bread while in rehab. So yeah.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
bodes well for the Astros. I think the Astros are going back to the World Series for sure now that deGrom is out of the picture.
Yeah, I mean, Texas,
Probably, but
we'll see if they come back down to earth. I don't think Nate Eovaldi is going to look like this the whole year, and John Gray is always up and down. So we'll see what happens with Texas, but I do like the Astros as well. I don't think the Yankees are, Yankees are like 11 games over 500, but I don't think they're going to pose any real threat to the Astros. They never really do.
No, they won't.
Anything else you got for us today, Nick?
That's all I got this week. I know you got a short show today, so I'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Absolutely,
thank
Nick.
you, Nick. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Love the call.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care. All right, folks, we're going to head to a short break here, but in the meantime, we're going to play a track from the year 2003 in honor of our first summer show. Back after this.
The summer wind came blowing in from across the sea. It lingered there to touch your hair and walk with me. All summer long we sang a song, then we strolled that golden sand. Two sweethearts and the summer wind. Like painted kites, those days and nights went flying by. The world was new beneath the blue umbrella sky. Then softer than a piper man, one day it called to you. I lost you to the summer wind, the autumn wind, and the winter wind. They have come and gone, but still the days, those lonely days, go on and on. But guess who sighs his lullabies through nights that never end? My fickle friend, the summer wind. Come and gone, but still the days, those lonely days, go on and on. And guess who sighs his lullabies through nights that never end? My fickle friend, the summer wind. Ooh, that summer wind. Warm, warm summer wind. That summer wind.
We're back, and look, we're gonna take about a minute here just to kind of get this camera
Situation, yeah.
this camera situation here. But in the meantime, here's another track from. No, I'm just kidding. But I guess I don't want to get started on the next segment here. Jessica, how's it going?
It's okay. Just start talking.
How much time do you need?
2 seconds.
2 seconds?
Oh, you're good? Okay.
All right. Well, before we get into basketball, I guess we could talk a little bit more baseball here. And, are you more confident that both Judge and Alonso are going to hit 60 home runs, or do you think it's just going to be Pete?
I think it's just going to be Pete at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
because it's like I don't trust Aaron Judge's injury history.
Yeah, he definitely has some health concerns, but something else is that this is going to hurt his MVP chances. Yeah. I mean, he was crushing the ball in May, and now
absolutely.
Running through that
and the
fence.
Yankees were on the roll too, and now it's like.
Yeah, and this injury could be worse than people think. I know it's just a toe, but I could see him being out 5 weeks. I really can.
Toes are tricky, man.
It is, and for such a big guy, it's a tricky situation. But I think the camera is back. Yeah. We're good to go, Jessica. All right, and now we're gonna shift gears here into the NBA Finals. We've had 2 games here, and the series is tied 1-1, heading back to Miami.
What a series! Miami always finds a way to fight back, huh? They're the cockroach that never wants to.
Hey.
They're the cockroach that always outplays your team and makes you feel bad about it.
What do you mean, hey? They were like,
that's just strong words.
Well,
cockroach?
I don't think it's strong. We could say much worse. I mean, if we were allowed to. How about this? They're like a nest of bees. It's just they keep coming after you. They're running. They're flying around your head. They're stinging you.
Here's what I don't understand. It's not Jimmy Butler that's killing you.
Mm-mm.
It's Bam playing the best basketball of his career and just plugging in and out all these rotation guys. It's either one game it's Caleb Martin killing you, then one game it could be Gabe Vincent, and then the next game it's Duncan Robinson killing you. So then it's like, what do you do? How do you prepare for that?
What do you do? Look, game 1, Nuggets look great, Sean. They win by 11 points. Jokic is dominant. Jamal Murray is dominant. Jokic, 27, 10, and 14. Jamal Murray, 26, 10, and 6. I mean, both guys were just unbelievable. Star-studded duo, and, playoff Murray kept it going.
Murray was on the heater. Jokic had an efficient night shooting and had a monster triple-double. So for the Nuggets, that game one was perfect. And then you go to game two. Miami got ahead in the first quarter by Max Strus getting hot. But then in that second quarter, the Nuggets started to itch back in. They had that big run in the second to get that big lead by halftime. But then in the third quarter, once that pace started to slow down, you could see the momentum starting to shift. And then Miami got to the spots that it wanted to.
Well, you mentioned Max Strus in game two, Sean, and he had 2 3-pointers in the first 3 minutes of game two. He had 0 in game one. I mean, he was 0 for 10. I mean, that's not going to happen on a consistent basis. We all know that. But Eric Spoelstra, just another sign of his just dominance, because drawing up that early play for Max Strus in game two, getting him that wide open 3-point shot,
getting him going, getting him in rhythm right off the bat.
That set the tone, Sean. They get off to that 7-0 start. Miami has to take a quick timeout. I mean, not Miami. Denver has to take a quick timeout. Just a great play design, getting Max Strus going early. Duncan Robinson as well. I mean, he was silent through the first 3 quarters and then just exploded in that fourth quarter.
It's just to me, the individual game of Jimmy Butler and Nikola Jokic doesn't matter as much now, because it's the role players that are gonna win you the games. It's the Bruce Browns, it's the KCPs, it's the Duncan Robinsons, the Gabe Vincents. Those guys are gonna win you these games in the finals here, because you'll get those great games from Butler, from Jokic. You know what you're getting from those guys, but it's these role players that are gonna get you over the hump and wins in this series.
I mean, Gabe Vincent led the Miami Heat in scoring in game two, Sean. 23 points, 8 of 12 from the field, 4 3-pointers. I mean, he was unbelievable again, and he continues to amaze me, because I thought this guy stunk. He only averaged 9 points in the regular season. I wasn't impressed with him. But like you said, what Spoelstra did in game two was he was fine with Jokic beating him, meaning not Jokic beating him, but Jokic scoring, Jokic taking on the scoring. He scored 40 points, Sean.
Jokic, it's perfectly fine when Jokic is getting the bulk of the scoring. It's the assist that Miami shut down in game two that Jokic had in game one. He had 14 assists in game one and only 4 in game two. So when you look at that, it's like Jokic didn't get the opportunity to set up all these other role players for open shots. But you know who needs to play better for the Denver Nuggets? And Michael Porter Jr. The way he played in game two was unacceptable. He just needs to be better. He was getting good looks too, and there was some coverages where Murray's calling for him, and Michael Porter Jr. is just standing there doing absolutely nothing on the island of his own.
Yeah, the guy looked lost. I mean, come on.
He needs to play better.
Game one, he was really good. I mean, 14 points, 12 rebounds, a plus 20. That's a big reason why Denver won. But you mentioned the role players, and Michael Porter Jr. is not the superstar that everyone thought he was going to be. He is a good player.
He's their de facto third best player, so they're going to need something from him. But Bruce Brown is the perfect role player in the NBA. Does a little bit of everything for you. Scoring, rebounding, and a high level of defense.
High-level defense. And, as we're on the topic of role players and Jokic having those 14 assists in game one, which he did not have in game two, that goes to show you just how well-built the Denver Nuggets really are. Great coach, Mike Malone. We keep praising Spoelstra. Malone, former Knick coach with Van Gundy. So also worked with Thibodeau on the assistant staff over there in New York. But the way Denver is built, the reason Jokic is set up to get these big assist games is because it's almost like they have a cheat code on offense, Denver. The way they're built, the way they're constructed is because Jokic always has...
Jokic is the cheat code, yeah.
He always has 3 options, Sean. You get him the ball in the low post.
And he's always doubled.
Now what he could do after he's doubled, he could either shoot the ball, which he's going to put it in most of the time. We all know that. Or he could kick it out to a wide-open 3-point shooter, because they always have a 4-on-5 advantage, because they always have that double team.
There's always someone there, yeah.
But guess what? If Miami decides to shut off that 3-pointer, try to chase Jamal Murray off that line, guess what you have? You have Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. on opposite sides on the corner threes. You have them, they could either stay there or they could cut, and both are big guys.
Cut right to the basket.
Big athletic guys. That's why you see Jokic with a lot of touch passes, a lot of bounce passes, or he could alley-oop it, which we saw a lot in game one. We saw a lot of alley-oops to Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. Easy buckets.
Right, because how did the Nuggets get their points? In fast break. Because the one thing the Miami Heat were never able to set up in fast break was the zone. And the zone, Jokic could easily destroy the zone, but it's for the rest of that team. And once Miami uses the zone, they slow down the pace. They're able to get to their spots on the court. once that pace slows down, it factors Miami. So once they get the Nuggets out of transition, they could beat you one-on-one. They could beat you those dribble handoffs that Bam Adebayo does. He sets a screen on every offensive play, and it's a dribble handoff to either guy that runs out on the corner or runs out top of the key and gets a wide open three. Happens every time.
Sean, Bam has been tremendous. Only LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Jimmy Butler have more 20-point final games as a Miami Heat. So he kind of gets lost in the fold for some reason.
Because he was solid against the Knicks and the Celtics, but you never really saw this version of him in either of those two series that you're now getting. And honestly, a lot of that has to do with Jokic isn't that great of a defender as opposed to maybe a Mitchell Robinson or Robert Williams are.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of it has to do with that, but he's also staying aggressive. He's also getting himself to the under the rim, getting himself opportunities too.
Well, yeah, I mean, Bam is not as big as Jokic, but he's much more athletic.
Right.
He could do, he's not a 3-level scorer, Bam, because he's not a good 3-point shooter, but he could move around the mid-range, give Jokic some trouble, and also take some energy away from Jokic, because Jokic is eventually going to have to chase him around a little bit. There are going to be some switches. Aaron Gordon is not just going to be on Bam Adebayo every minute of every game. Jokic will get switched on to him, and they will challenge him, kind of like Miami did. Well, they tried to do with Jalen Brunson. They tried to put a lot of pressure on Jalen Brunson on the defensive end, make him work on the defensive end, which hopefully will take away from his offense. But I think that's what Miami is trying to do with Jokic here.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're trying to get to their spots. Another thing that I like that Miami did was that they put Jimmy Butler on Jamal Murray, because that limited Jamal Murray's ability to become the hot hand and just get going like he did in Game 1. So once you put Jimmy Butler on Jamal Murray, that limits his offense. That forces him to pass out of it. Forces other guys to create.
I don't know if I love that, though, Sean. I don't know if I love Jimmy Butler on Jamal Murray. I'd rather have Jimmy Butler kind of as that lurker. We saw it in the Knicks series where he covers an R.J. Barrett. I'm not saying that R.J. Barrett isn't effective, but you kind of know what R.J. Barrett's going to do. He doesn't have a great right hand. He's going left. He's hot and cold. And what Jimmy could do is, it's not so much don't pay attention to R.J. Barrett, but what he could do is he could kind of lurk.
Cover the area, right?
Cover the area, exactly. And when you're on a Jamal Murray, Sean, you
have to be laser focused in on him.
You have to chase him around. And once he gets going, he's like a faucet that is just broken because you can't turn him off.
Right.
And Sean, I don't, who's going to win this series?
I'm going to stick with the Nuggets in 6.
Interesting.
Because I feel like they're just a more well-rounded team than Miami is, and I feel like Mike Malone is such a good coach, like Eric Spoelstra, is that he'll be able to make adjustments going into tonight. I do expect the Nuggets to win tonight, and I expect them to be able to close this out in 6. But to be honest, I'm not 100% confident in that after Game 2.
Well, here's my final thought. In order for your prediction to come true and Denver to win tonight, they need their role players to step up in a big way. We spoke about it, but Gabe Vincent has made more three-point shots than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Nikola Jokic, and Michael Porter Jr. combined. Now, I know Jokic obviously isn't a role player. He's the guy. But those are two important role players on Denver, KCP and MPJ. And Gabe Vincent has more combined three-point shots than those two. So they got to get it going, Sean. They really
Michael
do.
Porter Jr. needs to get it going, especially. The way he played in games, he was just complete. He was mentally checked out of that game from the start.
Well, because
he's just like...
he's not going to play defense. We know that. So you got to do something. You have to put the ball in the basket. You have to rebound the ball. He's done a good job of rebounding the ball, but he's been up and down putting the ball in the basket, and that's his role. They need him to do that in order to win this series,
And so, I mean, we'll see where it goes from here. And to be honest, for Miami, with Tyler Hero, that's also a big thing going on here. Will they bring Tyler Hero back? To be honest, I don't think they should, just for the fact of, Miami's on such a roll without Tyler Hero that I feel like it'll mess up the game, and getting him back acclimated back into the rotation is just going to mess up the whole chemistry that they have going.
Well, look, if Miami wants to move on from Tyler Hero, they have some confidence now in Duncan Robinson, who has, figured it out. He's back to that lethal three-point shooter form. Now, is he going to give you 20 a night like Tyler Hero? He won't. Is he a 3-level scorer like Tyler Hero has become? He's not. Mm-mm. But you don't necessarily need to, because Duncan Robinson is going to pay a lot of money. You don't need to keep both of those guys at such a high salary, but we will see what happens in this series. Time will tell. But for now, let's move on to the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. Now, Vegas has completely dominated. They're up 2-0 in this series against the Panthers.
Yeah, the Panthers are starting to finally play like an 8 seed. they embarrassed the Boston Bruins in that first round matchup. So now it's like the Golden Knights, they're just too good. They know who they are, and their goalie especially has really stepped up in this series too. So it's like the Golden Knights not only have the talent, but they have the ability to make the adjustments that the Panthers don't have. And you see that game, it was 4-0 after the second period, and then it just felt like out of reach. Even after that first goal that the Panthers hit, they never really got a chance to get going, get any momentum in that game.
It was 4-0 after the second period in Game 2, yes, and Bobrovsky was pulled. Sergei Bobrovsky from the Florida Panthers, great goalie, and he was the hottest goaltender in the game coming into the playoffs and during the playoffs. But now he has really struggled against this Golden Knights team, and they're not built the same way that Carolina Hurricanes team was. I mean, this Knights team, they're in your face on the offensive end. They keep putting pressure on you. They're not the fastest. Carolina is a fast team. Golden Knights aren't that fast, but they put consistent pressure on you. And something that they do, Sean, is they don't turn the puck over. They don't turn the puck over. So Florida's kind of losing their mojo here. Like you said, they're starting to come back to that 8 seed, and Aiden Hill for the Knights is playing out of his mind. He wasn't even a starter to start the season, 4th-string goalie. Now he's just on another planet. And another big factor here, Sean, is that much like in 2018 when the Vegas Golden Knights made the Stanley Cup Final in their first year as an actual team, they remind me of the Florida Panthers right now. It wasn't expected. It was kind of like, kind of just don't know how we got here, and let's just, see what happens. And now they kind of got knocked back down to earth like the Washington Capitals did to the Knights back in 2018 with Holtby. They stopped them right in their tracks, and that's what the Golden Knights are doing now after it happened to them just 5 years ago. They're just reminding the Panthers, like, giving them a reality check.
Yeah, the Panthers are in way over their head in this series. I honestly think this series is already over. I know the Panthers still have to play 2 at home, and that first of 2 is coming tomorrow night, but I think this game is over in, honestly, probably 5 games max. I just don't see it. I think talent-wise, ability-wise, the Golden Knights are just much, much better, and it's showing.
Yeah, I think it's over as well, and a really telling sign is when your best player, one of the best players in the sport, Matthew Tkachuk on the Panthers, is getting ejected twice. In Game 1 he got ejected, and Game 2. There's a lot of frustration building up in Florida, and I think Game 1 was such an important win for the Golden Knights because they've been dominant, Florida, on the road this whole postseason. They've had kind of that road warrior spirit to them where it's just like a mojo that you can't stop. And now when you lose that Game 1, it takes away the mojo.
It takes away the momentum, but that's what the Panthers had this whole postseason was the momentum. And now they lost that, and on talent alone, they're not going to win. So it's like I don't really see any upward trajectory for them for the rest of the series. I think this series is over.
No, it's going down quick, Sean, and it's like Austin Powers. It lost his mojo, and it can't get it back. And now we're going to move on to wrestling. And like Roman Reigns says, Brooklyn College, acknowledge us. That's right. The Bloodline.
What a storyline.
The Bloodline, it's over.
What a storyline. That
I
segment
love Roman
on
Reigns. He's delicious.
All right. Well,
thanks.
Thanks for that, Jessica. That was important.
It is, but I get it. The Bloodline's over. Yeah.
That segment on SmackDown.
Aside from his deliciousness, the Bloodline's over.
Yeah, that segment on SmackDown was the end of like the Usos run with the Bloodline, because now it's like I don't really see. I think this is them fully against Roman, because the whole storyline back in 2020 started with Jay against Roman, and now it's like for the whole like this past year, basically starting with the Royal Rumble against Sami Zayn, it's always been Jay Uso was the one that's always indecisive, and now Roman is against Jimmy, and now it's like at the end of that segment, Heyman asks Roman, "What about Jay?" And Roman looks at him. He's like, he's going to do what he always does, come back to his family. Except this time, I don't think he is.
I don't think so either, Sean. Let's do it one time for the people. Let's do a ooh-ah for him. Ooh-ah! Yep.
I acknowledge my tribal chief.
So I have a question about wrestling. So you said the storyline is over?
It's done.
The Usos run with the Bloodline is done. Yeah,
Roman Reigns kind of, how do you want to say it? His crew.
Yeah, it's
So they broke up?
Yeah, the Usos
Okay,
split away with him,
so-
so now it's just Roman, Heyman, and Solo Sikoa.
So they're still wrestling, just not together as like
Yeah,
a crew.
yeah. They're
And-
they're not aligned with Roman anymore. The Usos.
Why?
Well,
because
'cause
Roman Reigns
treats them like
is a
crap.
narcissistic.
Is that part of the storyline?
Yeah.
To
Roman is basically narcissist. He's basically full of himself, trying to get himself over. Basically, just put himself over. Whereas his cousins are the ones that have to basically eat crap for it.
So basically, this, Jessica, the Usos were the tag team champions, but Roman Reigns was the one holding the belts.
Yeah.
You know, like he walked around
he-
with all the belts.
Right. Everything that the Usos worked towards for the past year and a half, 2 years, is just to be aligned with Roman, and it was all to make Roman happy, because they would do a lot of those matches where it's like, oh, the Usos need to make up for a previous mistake that they made. Whereas now, with Roman saying Jay's gonna do what he always does, except this time he's gonna align with his brother. And for Money in the Bank, I think we're headed to a solo Roman tag match against the Usos.
Yeah, I could
So-
see. Yep, I could see that too. And I think that the breaking up of the bloodline is really compelling, because now it's Roman Reigns is becoming more vulnerable, Sean. You know, he's slowly losing people by his side.
And I feel like eventually what's gonna
One
happen.
more question.
Yeah, what's up?
Is that because of his character, Roman Reigns, or put that aside and know he's just a jerk to really work with, and now we're just breaking up, dismembering the band?
Well, if you ask Seth Rollins if he's actually a jerk to work with, he'd probably
Oh,
say
he'd
so,
probably
'cause-
say yes.
Yeah, but in terms of
But-
his character, he is
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't say much.
Okay, because
He's-
I'm still learning how wrestling actually works.
No,
so
that's
I
not
don't
Roman
know.
in real life. This is all storyline.
Okay.
This is all
Okay.
storyline.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
look, that's not Roman in real life, but he knows he's good though. Like you
No,
hear him in interviews, he's
Roman
like, yeah.
Roman definitely has that confidence
I'm
in
just
himself.
wondering
Like,
if this thing is just like, is this the storyline, or is it part of their like deal, or they're just
No,
like,
this
we're
is-
stepping out of character, we're done being in your crew.
no, this is all storyline. This is all
Okay.
in character, all in storyline.
Okay.
Jessica, this is a build up to what I believe is WrestleMania 40, where Cody Rhodes has a shot at
Eventually comes back around. and
has a
beats
shot
Roman.
at dethroning Roman Reigns, who has held the title belt for over 1,000 days now, the fourth longest title reign in WWE history. He's on a short list with Hulk Hogan. I'm sure you've heard of Hulk
Yes,
Hogan.
of course, I
Yeah.
grew up with Hulk.
Hogan, Bruno,
I
Pedro
mean,
Morales. So
He's on a list that not even John Cena, who you could make the case is the greatest of all time, a guy like Undertaker as well, another guy in the GOAT
The Undertaker
conversation.
used to scare the crap
Did
out of me
they-
as a kid.
This heel character of Roman is on another level.
It's ridiculous.
This is the best storyline WWE's done in at least the last 10 years.
It is.
But for Roman, I feel like the ultimate downfall of this character will be Solo eventually turning on him.
100%. Sean,
That'll
you
be the
saw it.
ultimate downfall. Roman on his own with no one out by his side.
Yep, and what is Heyman going to do except, be his
Hell yeah.
cheerleader?
Yeah.
I mean, Solo, you saw it on SmackDown. There, he was
Mm-hmm.
he traded sides. He went with Jimmy and Jay, and then he went back to Roman. But you know what WWE did that was smart? It put that in your mind.
It put that thought in your mind.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to do it yet, but they will do it down the line.
Months down the line, it'll all come back around.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
So does Cody Rhodes have to be the one to challenge for the belt, or some other wrestler can come up in the reigns and challenge him in the next WrestleMania?
Someone could, but it makes more sense if it's Cody Rhodes, given that Cody lost at WrestleMania, and that's all he honestly cares about. Even in his promos now, like he's feuding with Brock Lesnar, but all he talks about now is that loss at WrestleMania. So it's still a part of his ongoing story. Now it still bothers him. So it would make sense for them to come back around to it and do the Cody.
But Cody Rhodes is dealing with, because many would say he's the second best wrestler in sports behind. They would say it's Roman Reigns, Cody
then
Rhodes,
Cody.
Seth Rollins.
Right.
But what the WWE is doing is they're giving Cody Rhodes the hard time storyline to get that WWE championship, because he left WWE for a few years. He went to AEW.
He started
was
up
doing,
AEW doing his own thing, and now he came back. So
Yep. Also doing some acting stuff, kind of a part-timer, as Seth Rollins would say. So, Sean, what do you think? You think he's going to win the belt at WrestleMania 40?
I as of right now, I do think Cody Rhodes will be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. I can't say with 100% confidence, though, because a lot could change between now and then.
I mean, look, it seems like that's the inevitable, but I'll tell you this right now. I wouldn't be so surprised if it didn't happen, because if Roman Reigns wins defends his championship again, I mean, he's going to beat Hulk Hogan's record for days holding the belt. So that's an option on the table as well. How far do you want to ride this out? But here's the thing, Sean.
Yeah.
If it's not Cody Rhodes, who is it? I mean,
That's
That's
the
the
ultimate
question.
question now, because whoever it is, has to be your next big babyface to carry the company. You have to end this run with the babyface going out on top.
I mean, look, folks.
the babyface a wrestler.
The babyfaces
No,
are the good guys,
Okay.
and the heels are the bad guys.
Okay.
I know who you're thinking of, though. Babyface the singer. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. But look, folks, that's all we have for you today. But we're going to continue talking about wrestling like we always do. Don't worry. So we'll keep analyzing this storyline. Kind of like, Sean, we'll do kind of a build-up to WrestleMania 40.
Right,
And
yeah.
we could do like a weekly type thing here because it's really a compelling
We'll have
situation.
a WrestleMania special.
Yeah, we'll cycle it in and out and throughout the months, and we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, Sean's got his Bloodline shirt on here today. So
Let me get a.
one more time for the people. Put that finger up, Frank. Yes, sir. We the ones. Ooh, ah.
I acknowledge my tribal chief.
Yep. But listen, folks, this time it's actually, that's it. That's it. But look, we thank you for listening to the Bret and Sean Show on the WBCR radio station. We'll catch you guys next week at 1 o'clock. Take care, folks.